Good evening, everyone. Oh. Thanks for joining us this evening. I am hereby calling to order the first full council meeting of the 2022 calendar year. It's January 11th. A couple of business items before we go any further. First and foremost, you are being recorded. The meeting is being live streamed. Please take a moment now to silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate. I'm actually going to do that right now with you. Got it. And of course, if you are making public comment, please make all public comments from the available microphone and not from your seat. Begin with your name and your block of residence, and keep your comments to 3 minutes in length unless you have been otherwise advised. Now, if you are willing and able, please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. Mr. Harris, would you please call the roll of members?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Royo.
Here.
Ms. Bacon.
Here.
Mr. Kalexty.
Here.
Ms. Craig. Ms. Diaz.
Here.
Mr. Garcia Molina.
Here.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Here. Thank you, Mr. Harris. We move then to the approval of the minutes for the January 3rd, 2022 meeting. I will hear a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Council comments on the minutes from the January 3rd meeting. Hearing none. Mr. Harris, please.
Mr. Royo.
Aye.
Ms. Bacon.
Aye.
Mr. Kalexty.
Here. No, aye. Sorry.
Okay.
Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina.
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Okay, excellent. The minutes are approved. Thank you. That moves us to proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. Stand by just one moment. Okay. How was everybody's weekend? Good? Good. Glad to hear it. We need the mayor for this next trick, so we'll be coming right along as soon as he rejoins us. No worries. Okay, that brings us to proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. The only thing that we have on the agenda is a proclamation recognizing this young lady right here, Ms. Addie Cunningham.
All right, so while Council President is situating himself in the microphone, I just want to say what a gift and blessing you are to us. And I really want to thank the family, your family, for being here tonight. Mr. and Mrs. Reverend Forbes, Judge Jody Richardson here to help celebrate, and your granddaughter, Shelby. And Betty Cunningham, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate that you're here to celebrate. So without further ado, please go ahead, Council President, and then I'll add a few more.
A proclamation honoring Mrs. Addie Cunningham. Whereas Mrs. Addie Cunningham was born in Evergreen, Alabama on January 2nd, 1927 to Mitchell and Ellen Seawright. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham married her husband, Cornelius Cunningham Sr., on January 12, 1946 in Evergreen, Alabama, and together they had 6 daughters and 4 sons. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham and her late husband were business owners of the Cunningham's grocery store in the southeast sector of the city from 1977 to 2006. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham retired from the Holiday Inn as an executive housekeeper. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham is a mom to everyone, loves her community, and always has a hug for you. I actually just found that out a few minutes ago. When visiting, she wants you to have a seat and stay a while. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham also is very passionate about National Night Out and has organized many block parties on South Lime Street. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham has served on numerous boards in the city, including the Southeast Health Center. She is always willing to mentor youth and adults, as well as offering advice to anyone needing guidance. She is a willing worker and an exemplary role model of neighborhood pride and leadership, always welcoming and engaging with new neighbors and residents. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham has been a member of Ebenezer Baptist Church for 59 years, serving as deaconess and missionary for 57 years. She continues to help prepare meals at the church every Wednesday in Mama C's kitchen for the outreach ministry and helps to serve grieving families within the church and community. And whereas Mrs. Cunningham is held in high regard by all who knew her and shows gratitude for all life's blessings and delights in the successes of others. Now, therefore, Deneen Sirachi, Mayor of the City of Lancaster, do hereby proclaim January 2nd, 2022 to be Addie Cunningham Day in the City of Lancaster in honor of her 95th birthday and wish her many happy returns.
To the mayor and the council members, the president, and everyone that are gathered here. I'm not a talker. I'm a doer, but not a talker. But I just want to thank you. I try to do what is best for each person, treat everybody right, and you never know who you're gonna see down the road will give you a drink of water. The very person that you think is not going to do nothing for you, that's the person you can depend on. And so I want to thank you again. I want to thank all of you for thinking about me and my 91st birthday, one of the best birthdays I've ever had in my life. And so I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cunningham, and bless you, and blessings to your family. And I am just incredibly honored to know you and to have celebrated with you on Saturday and the week before and next week and the following week, because even though January 2nd is Addie Cunningham Day, it's really the month of January and the whole year long that we will celebrate you and your many contributions to our community, both at Ebenezer Baptist Church, but also in your neighborhood on South Lime Street. Thank you for all that you have done to make the city of Lancaster the special place that it is. Congratulations and happy birthday.
Mrs. Cunningham, family, and associated friends, Mayor, I would be happy to pause the meeting if there was a desire to take a photo altogether. Up against that wall, shall we? Thank you, everyone, for bearing with. Thank you so much again, y'all, and thank you to everyone for your forbearance just there. Oh, all right then. We move on to our first public comment period reserved for those persons, pardon me, who have contacted the city clerk in advance of the meeting. Do we have any, Mr. Harris?
Yes, we do, Mr. President. We have Irene Grievous this evening.
Ms. Grievous?
Good evening. The reason I would like to make a public comment is there is an issue with Lancaster City. I apologize. I guess I should have started with my name. My name is Irene Grievous. I own a rental property located at 901 Manor Street. I've been a landlady for over 30 years. And in the past year, I noticed an increase of violations and being targeted, erroneously targeted for issues that do. My property was, I received a search warrant, an illegal search warrant, filed in the wrong venue, of all things for rodents. I was never given a chance to rectify the issue. It went from a search warrant, an unjust search warrant, to the next day having my property condemned. And it's been an ongoing issue since. The city is basically trying to force small landlords like myself out. Some of the neighbors, which are here in this room today, feel that their property value is going down because of me, because I'm an immigrant, and I tend to rent to immigrants. And this is an effort, an easy way effort to bankrupt small landlords like myself, push us out, reconstruct properties and resell them 10, 20 times the going value. I've contacted numerous city officials. I've been getting railroaded. No one wants to address the issue. What should be a normal write-up ends up being a condemnation. This is not what our country is. This country is made of immigrants all over the world, not just Americans. And some people feel entitled. What I worked so hard for, basically for my 30-some years that I've been living here, that somebody's just trying to take underneath me. The city now wants $50,000 worth of, under the new code, even though my property is grandfathered in, they want me to replace roofs, they want me to rewire the entire house, they want all these things that should be grandfathered in for small violations that should be a normal write-up. But instead, they took it to the next level in efforts to basically bankrupt me and force me out. This is exactly what they did to the property next door to me, also an immigrant. This is what the city is doing to other immigrants. I believe there's another property on North Queen Street. The same thing is happening to them. There's a property on Wanna Street that property was taken away. And here I am facing the same issue for small violations that in no way, shape, or form fit the criteria of a condemnation. A write-up, yes. A condemnation, no. My property is safe, it is sound, there's no structural issues. There is absolutely nothing wrong with my property. My house doesn't need rewiring, it doesn't need new roofs, it doesn't need any of that. Yet this is what the city is requiring me to do in order to get my property out of condemnation. It's outrageous. I am just so outraged because I worked so hard all these years, and yet I'm facing this situation where I'm gonna spend the money if I need to, but I just feel that I'm getting bullied, I'm being racially profiled, and I'm being forced out. And that's just not acceptable. There's been racial slurs made against me. There's been slander, defamation, and yet no one wants to address or do anything about it. It just citations after citations, and I don't know what more to say. It's sad, because Lancaster should not be about this. And I just feel that I'm being forced out, and it's just unfortunate, because if this can happen to me, it can happen to any person in this room. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Grievous. Our community planning council chair is not available this evening. Councilor Arroyo, would you be so kind as to follow up? I appreciate that. Okay, that brings us to reports requested by council. I do not believe that we have any this evening, Mr. Harris.
We do not, Mr. President.
Okay, which brings us then to reports of committees of council meetings held on January 4th, 2022. We will begin with the Public Safety Committee. Councilor Diaz.
Yes, Mr. President. The Safety Committee met on January 3rd to discuss the administration resolution of 07-2022, amending the civil service rules and regulations. And that will be brought up at our legislation agenda. There is a resolution number 08-2022. This is related to authorizing conditional appointments for the firefighters, and that would also be brought up to the legislation agenda.
Thank you. Pardon me, just a second. Yeah, thank you, Councilor Diaz. We go then to the Public Works Committee. Councilor Garcia Molina.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Public Works Committee actually did not meet.
Okay, thank you. We go then to the Economic Development Committee. Councilor Arroyo.
Thank you, Council President. During the last committee, we did get a brief report from Director Delfs on the American Rescue Plan Act. Director Delfs briefed council on the request for proposals for a consultant to assist the city in grant compliance, which was issued in late December, and that the deadline to submit the proposals will be January 29th, with an expectation of a 30 to 60-day turnaround time for selection of the consultant. City staff have also began drafting a second request for proposals for managing the affordable housing grants that are issued. Finally, Mr. Delfs also notified council that the acquisition of 838 Marietta Avenue was completed on December 16th. HDC Mid-Atlantic now owns the site and is under agreement to redevelop the site for multifamily affordable housing. That concludes the Economic Development Committee report.
Thank you very much, Councilor Arroyo. We go then to the Finance Committee. Councilor Baquet.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee met on January 4th and discussed 3 items. Each will appear later on our agenda this evening. Resolutions 5 and 6, 2022 are funding for projects with the Higher Education Authority and the Municipal Authority, respectively. Each of the resolutions allows the authorities to finance projects but does not obligate the city to the debt in any way. These resolutions will come up on the legislative agenda. We also discussed Bill number 1, 2022, authorizing a cable franchise agreement. City Solicitor Barry Henberger provided an overview of the new agreement with Comcast. It sets a 5% franchise fee, no change from the past agreement. The agreement also sets standards for customer service. The agreement lasts for 10 years. This will come up for a first reading this evening. Finally, the Finance Committee heard a presentation from Larry Cohen, the Executive Director of the Lancaster Parking Authority. He presented a proposal to increase parking meter rates by $1 per hour. In his presentation, he detailed that the last increase was 11 years ago. At this time, street parking rates are less than the LPA garage rates, which creates less turnover in parking spaces for patrons of businesses in the downtown district. Mr. Cohen provided an overview of rates in other comparable cities, detailed what the LPA may do with the additional revenue and generated from the increase. Mr. Cohen said that he expects to introduce a resolution about the increase next month, but no action was taken during the committee meeting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Councilor Baquet. We go then to the Community Planning Committee. Councilor Craig is excused this evening, so I will be reporting for her. There was one item on the community planning agenda, which was just a report on the review of the Historical Commission recommendation for the LGH Hankin project at Prince, Queen, and Frederick Streets. And Suzanne Stallings, our historic preservation specialist, reported to us on the project coming before the Historical Commission and the opportunities that the applicants had taken to use the Historical Commission conceptual review in a way that she found favorable to the long-term success of the project and compliance with Historical Commission guidelines. And that is all I have for the Community Planning Committee. And we will go then to the Personnel Committee. Councillor Calixte.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, thank you, Mr. President. The Personnel Committee met on Tuesday, January 4th, and reviewed the nomination of Daniel Falcon for appointment to the City Revitalization and Improvement Zone Authority Board. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That brings us to our legislative agenda, and we start with a nomination for appointment to the City Revitalization and Improvement Zone Authority. Mr. Harris?
Actually, we have nominations for appointment first, Mr.
What?
President. Nominations for appointment first.
Yes. In that case, Mr. Calixte?
All right, thank you, Mr. President. And I make a motion to appoint Daniel Falcon to the City Revitalization and Improvement Zone Authority for a term from January 6, 2022 to January 6, 2026.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Council comments on the appointment?
Mr. President, if I may?
Please.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Falcone for coming before us to give us the opportunity to connect with him. I thought that was admirable, and I'm really appreciative of the work that he's going to be putting in for us.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Any comments from the public on the appointment to the CRIZ Authority? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Ms. Beke?
Aye.
Mr. Calixte?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina?
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. All right, that brings us to Heritage Conservation District items. Mr. Harris?
Yes, Mr. President. Considering the following applications and recommendations from the Historical Commission for improvements to properties within the Heritage Conservation District, we have two tonight. Lancaster General Health, owner of 530 North Queen Street, 534 to 536 North Queen Street, and 48 West Frederick Street rear, proposes demolition of two brick structures on North Queen Street and a rear wing on a building on West Frederick Street. And Lancaster General Health, owner of 528 to 550 North Queen Street and 38 to 48 West Frederick Street and 547 North Prince Street, proposes construction of two multi-family residential buildings, a parking garage, and a medical office building. And those applications were recommended for approval by the Historical Commission.
Motion to approve both items.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the recommendations on the certificate of appropriateness for demolition and construction on the agenda. Council comments? Unless we have, is Suzanne here this evening?
think
I don't think
so.
we have additional staff presentation. Was there any additional staff presentation to be made? Okay. Great.
But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we'll let you know. Any council comments or questions?
Council President?
Please.
I made this comment at the committee meeting, and I just wanted to put it into the record here that I appreciate the applicant's willingness to work with the Historical Commission for a really a long-term project. They worked with them for over a year to get this to this state and really took in a lot of feedback, public comment, and a lot of engagement. And so this is the way I believe that this process is intended to work. And I'm really excited that we're at this point and ready to move forward with something that I think everyone can feel good about.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions from council? Comments or questions from the public? Please.
I'm sorry, what was the property address?
The two brick structures at 530 North Queen Street and 534 to 536 North Queen Street and 48 West Frederick Street are the proposed structures for the demolition. And then the proposed structures are for construction at 528 to 550 North Queen Street and 38 to 48 West Frederick Street, as well as 547 North Prince Street. I think, yeah.
Yes, I apologize.
Yep, no problem.
Is that for 247, I believe their property, 247 to 253 is, their property was condemned, correct? And the city's in the process of taking that over?
I'm sorry, at what address?
247 to 253 North Queen Street.
Can anybody else provide context on?
That's not part of this.
Okay, I don't think that pertains to this item, but is that a property that is owned by the?
I'd say as far as our project goes there, I'm not aware of any condemnation being proposed by the city.
Okay, and Ms. Grievous, are you referring to the 547 North Prince Street? I'm just not aware of
Okay.
247 being.
I guess that's not on the list. My apologies. I just assumed it was the same issue with a condemnation. I thought-
Okay,
My apologies.
so not a problem, ma'am. Any other public comments on the certificates of appropriateness? Going once, going twice? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Ms. Baker.
Aye.
Mr. Kalexty. Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina.
Aye.
And President Smith Waddell.
Aye. All right, thank you very much. Yep. All right, that brings us to ordinances for first reading, beginning with Administration Bill Number 1, 2022. Councilor Baker?
Do
Did I?
you know the title, Mr. President?
Oh, my God, yeah, I guess I could let you do
We
that.
could read.
Thank you, Mr. Harris, please.
An ordinance of the City of Lancaster authorizing execution of a cable franchise agreement between the township, I'm sorry, that should be between the city and Comcast of Southeast Pennsylvania LLC.
Now.
The title, Mr. President.
Councilor Baker.
Thank you. I mentioned this in my report of committee, but this is a franchise agreement that comes up once every 10 years between a cable provider and the city of Lancaster. We engaged our telecommunications council in drafting this new agreement. It doesn't change the franchise fee that we received. It does not have to do with telephone or internet service, simply cable. And yeah, I don't have anything additional to add. We were given a very thorough presentation at committee.
Any other council comments? Any comments from the public on this item?
My name is Keith Holland, and my only question I have is, has the city taken consideration about the use of the agreement on this cable that make it accessible for them?
Can you elaborate a little more, Mr. Holland?
A little bit more about the kids that don't have access to cable. And if this is a part of the franchise of the city, I'm asking, has the city put that in consideration for the kids?
Mayor, please.
I can respond to that, Mr. Holland, thank you. So as it relates, are you referring to broadband access generally?
ma'am.
Okay, so we have, there have been, I believe the Steinman Foundation has been working in partnership with the School District of Lancaster. There's also a new federal funding to support low-income homeowners with their cable bill. And we are also continuing to try to work through issues to make broadband more accessible. So there are a number of efforts that are happening to ensure that our families across the city have access to internet services, as we understand that they have become vital in so many ways through the pandemic.
And the city is putting its hands in to make sure these things are taking place.
Yes, that is happening. The franchise agreement is separate from those efforts. At the same time, Comcast has set up two internet, I forget what they're calling them, but they have been partnering with, I believe, the Boys and Girls Club and SACA to provide space with high-speed broadband.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Holland, because I didn't ask it of you when you first stood up. Can you just give me the 100 block of your address for our records?
315 West Mifflin Street.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other comments? Okay. We move then to section D, resolutions, unless you had anything else, Councilor Bakay, on this item?
I did not.
Excellent. So we move then to Administration Resolution Number 5, 2022. Mr. Harris?
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster approving a certain project to be undertaken and financed by the Lancaster Higher Education Authority on behalf of the Harrisburg Area Community College, declaring that it is desirable for the health, safety, and welfare of the people in the area served by the facilities of the Harrisburg Area Community College to have such a project undertaken and financed by the authority.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Councilor Bakay?
Thank you very much. So this resolution allows us, basically authorizes the Higher Education Authority to enter into this finance agreement, but it does not obligate the city to any of the debt. It has to do with Harrisburg Area Community College and refinancing of existing debt that they have, as well as additional projects.
Other council comments? Other comments from the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Mr. Arroyo?
Aye.
Ms. Bakay?
Aye.
Mr. Kalexty?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
and President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Thank you. We go then to Administration Resolution Number 6, 2022. Mr. Harris?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, approving a project to be undertaken by the Lancaster Municipal Authority for the benefit of Homestead Village Incorporated, a nonprofit corporation, and declaring that it is desirable for the health, safety, and welfare of the people in the area served by the facilities being financed as part of such project to have such facilities provided by or financed through such authority.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Bakay, this is you again?
Yes, it is. Thank you. This is very similar in that this resolution allows the municipal authority to enter into a finance agreement for this project, which is a Homestead Village. Again, it doesn't obligate the city to any of the debt, but it is required that we act on it so that they can get this financing.
Any other council comments or questions on this item? Any comments or questions from the public? Hearing none. Mr. Harris?
Mr. Arroyo?
Aye.
Ms. Bakay?
Aye.
Mr. Kalexty?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
and President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Thank you. That brings us to Administration Resolution Number 7, 2020. If you would, Mr. Harris.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lancaster approving the rules and regulations of the Civil Service Board for the examination and appointment of applicants to positions in the Bureau of Police for the City of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Councilor Diaz?
Yes. Yes, there has been some changes in regards to the examinations for the police of Lancaster, and I do not know if we have someone that could elaborate since there was an extended amount of changes.
I believe Mr. Hopkins can.
Okay, if Mr. Hopkins can give us an insight of all the changes that were made.
Thanks, Councilor Diaz. So I won't run through the whole list of changes that Mr. Handwerger presented to you at the committee meeting, but just wanted to highlight a few of the more significant ones. And really probably the most significant one is adjusting the passing score back to what it had been originally last year, which was a 70 score on both the on both the written and the oral exam. So and that's been the baseline for many, many years. You know, it was changed for a period of time last year. We had a lot of discussion about that, and this is adjusting that back to 70 for both of those scores. And I should have started with that the rules and regulations and the changes that you see in front of you in this resolution were already adopted by the Civil Service Board, or the Civil Service Commission, I'm sorry. The other piece that is important to highlight is around the makeup of or at least possible makeup of the oral review board. And I'll just read this. Regarding oral examinations, that section was modified to provide that the oral review board must include 2 members of the police bureau and may include individuals who are not members of the police bureau, representatives from the Human Resources Office of the City of Lancaster, and other such individuals with appropriate experience to assist in the oral exam process as deemed appropriate by the board. So the board will make those decisions, but there is a mix of individuals so that it's not just folks from the police bureau who are involved in those, the oral board examinations. And then finally, the other one that I'd want to highlight is around an appeal process that's been established in the regs. And there is one specific appeal process, and then there's a more general one, or appeal right. So the specific one is around background investigations. And if an applicant is deemed not qualified due to not passing the background examination, the police bureau has to notify both verbally and in writing the applicant, inform them verbally of the issue or issues that that deem them ineligible due to the background investigation, and then follow up to the applicant in writing, providing them with information about the appeal process, and then they have an appeal right to the Civil Service Commission. So that's the specific appeal right. And then generally there is, in any part of the process, whether it is about the written or oral exam process, about background investigation, or anything else, any individual who is going through that process has an appeal right to the Civil Service Commission. And that appeal right is to go to a public hearing in front of the commission to appeal whatever they are aggrieved or whatever they believe that they're aggrieved by. So I think those are the highlights of the changes here. If there are any questions, we'll make an effort to answer them.
Council comments or questions? From the public? Good evening, Ms. Bird.
Yes, Darlene Bird, South End Street. What was the score? You're changing, you said, to 70. What was it before? What is the change?
There had been a change made, I believe it was during 2021, to increase that score from 70 to 80. For a whole host of reasons, it made sense to dial that back to 70. That had been the standard for, I believe, decades.
Right, because I know there was a lot of discussion about what the police and things were going on. And so the other changes were all minor and nothing that you think that we that did not attend the working session need to know? Or is that somewhere we can get a look at it?
So I have a copy of the rules and regs that I can absolutely give that to you. I think I don't have any notes on here, so. And that, yep, that is the whole thing.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Thank you, Mr. Hopkins. Any other public comments? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo. Aye. Ms. Bacon?
Aye.
Mr. Calexico?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
and President Smith Waddell.
Aye. Thank you. That brings us to Administration Resolution Number 8, 2022. Mr. Harris?
Yes, Mr. President. A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the conditional appointment of firefighters with the Bureau of Fire of the City of Lancaster.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Counselor Diaz?
Yes, we do have Chief Little that'll explain or give us all the firefighters that will be authorizing conditional appointments for the firefighting department.
Chief Little or Valerie?
It's Chief Little.
Good evening. So to summarize our hiring process for these 14 candidates, in April of 2021, we began our process with applications and a written test, an oral exam, and a physical test. And so all of that is overseen by the Lancaster City Civil Service Board, and we follow the 70% pass rate for written and oral, and then it's a pass-fail for our physical. So all of these candidates have been through that entire process, with the culmination of civil service approving a list of, I believe, 27 candidates is what we ended up with, and that was approved in October. So we have started at the top of the list, and these 14 candidates are coming from that list and have successfully passed a physical examination, also a psychiatric evaluation, and a background check. That is all organized by the Lancaster City Human Resources Department. So the list of 14 names, which will be read, I think, later this evening, is a culmination of that, and we are very excited to bring them on here at the end of January.
Thank you, Valerie. If I could just add, I want to thank you, Valerie, and the command staff for, I know this is a huge time commitment. This is one of the largest, I don't know if it's the largest.
It is the largest group of firefighters hired, and we will be 140 years old on April 1st. So
Okay,
that's
in
a
our
pretty big
140
number.
years,
Yeah.
we have never, we're doing a lot of big things with
We
the
are.
Fire Bureau. In 140 years, this is the largest class of new officers that will be coming on. And Chief Little had previously shared with you some of the data related to these, and I just got a little bit more context today. I mean, two of these are former firefighters or firefighters that were working in different jurisdictions. One is a former police officer. Several are McCaskey and Lancaster City, McCaskey graduates, Lancaster City residents. There's a couple that are graduated from Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology. And we are very pleased with the opportunity to bring 14 firefighters on, because we've been, as you all have seen, spending a lot of overtime because 2020 really impacted our ability to do the recruitment and to bring on firefighters. And so we have a big gap to fill. We're actually filling like 2 years worth in 1 year. And we are also planning ahead for retirements that are coming at the end of 22, so that we can pull from this list to make sure that they're getting through the academy so that they can be onboarded, so that we don't have the gap in staffing that we have had in 2020. As council knows, and just for the public, it is a very long process. I mean, Valerie said that this started last April. Until they get through the academy and they're on the street, both for police and fire, it's a solid year, plus another year of really intense on-the-job training. And so this is a major, major investment of city taxpayer resources into these 14 individuals and any new hire that comes on to the police and fire bureaus. And we're really grateful that we have had such qualified candidates, high-quality candidates, to serve our city. And I would just want to thank you, Valerie, and the command staff that are here tonight, Chief Little and Battalion Chief Hutchinson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any council questions or comments for
If I may, Councilor President?
Councilor Arroyo.
Council President. I just want to say congratulations to the firefighters that will be joining the team. Very excited to see some familiar names and fellow McCaskey graduates here as well. So definitely excited to join the city family. Congratulations.
Any other council comments or questions?
Mr. President, if I may, I'll read the names of the 14 firefighters.
Please do. Thank you, Ms. Page.
Christopher Hausler, Austin Stroud, Micah Schenk, Jared MacArthur, Brian Gorman, Charles Adams, Christopher Agari, Andrew Hewitt, Jonathan Dumbach, Jonah Lake, Jordan Souders, Stephen Brown, Erica Shields, and Jacob Kern.
Excellent. Thank you. Any comments from the public on the appointments?
Ted Gray, 200 block of South Ann Street.
Great.
How many of them are people of color?
Someone has this. We were just discussing this.
Yes, I don't.
Off the top of my head, I will say two.
Two.
So human resources would have to verify that based on information that's collected, that's not part of the actual testing application process. It's fair, so
Understand.
not factor that in.
Okay. All right. Hey,
Did
thank you.
this, I'm sorry, did this come up during last week's committee meeting? I feel like,
I don't recall.
Councilor Diaz, go ahead.
I do believe that the question was brought up, but I don't recall exactly the answer to the question. So I really can't elaborate. Either Chief Little or Valerie would have to answer that question.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Go ahead, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we could get a firm answer on that whenever it's possible, I think we'd all appreciate it. Thank
Yes.
you very much. Other comments or questions from the public on the appointments? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo,
Aye.
Ms. Beke,
Aye.
Mr. Kalexty,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
and President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Congratulations to all the firefighters, and thank you to Valerie and the command staff. Also, if you don't know, and I should be addressing you as Ms. Page, I'm sorry, is the Administrative Services Manager for the Fire Bureau. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. That concludes our legislative agenda and brings us to our second public comment period, which is open for comments about items not addressed on the agenda. As always, begin with your name and block of residence and keep your comments to 3 minutes in length.
Good evening. My name is Gary Ziffer. I'm a resident and owner of 319 North Queen Street. Out of a courtesy, I'm not here to discuss 317 North Queen Street. But I would like, since I am here, to raise the issue concerning 315 North Queen Street. There was an article in the paper by the Lancaster newspaper Watchdog, I think this past week, about what may be going on that property. It's been 12 years, February 11th, when Steve Murray Zapp went to the ground in the fire. At that time, a temporary fence, 8-foot fence made of plywood, it's been painted black, sometimes repainted because it's been tagged, has been up. A temporary fence, which really doesn't meet the code as far as I know. It was done temporarily just because of the fire and to meet requirements so people wouldn't go into the property. It's a blighted property. It has basement that was supposed to be protected by a sump pump so that during the summer months when it fills with water that there wouldn't be a lot of mosquitoes, but that pump has been out of function for 2 years. Mr. Dragaris has owned the property now for 2 years. It was sold to him after Steve Murray passed away. It's been a blight on our block for 12 years. We're the oldest contiguous retail block in the city, whether you knew that or not, the 300 block. We've been there for 33 years. And I just want to bring it to the attention of the city again. Hopefully, Mr. DeGaris is going to do something with the property, but I think something should be done at some point about this fence that really shouldn't have existed any longer than its temporary status. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Byrd?
I just wanted to ask the question about the lot that was purchased by Mid-Atlantic. Who was that purchased from? Who owned it that the HDC bought it from?
Yes, I know that. I'm trying to remember the LLC name, Ms. Byrd. Maybe Patrick can find it really quickly. While he's looking, did you have a follow-up question that I might be able to help with?
Yeah, and I was wondering, what reporting regulations will they be following now that they have spent some of that ARPA money?
So the reporting regulations that they will need to follow have been outlined in the final rule that was issued this week. And we will be circling back with HDC as part of our process to ensure that those regulations are followed, as they will need to be followed by anyone who is a sub-recipient of ARPA dollars.
So the city now knows what regulations have to be filed.
Well, I don't know that
my
the
understanding?
regulations have changed that much. Barry, our solicitor, has been going through, I think, the 450-some pages of the final rule. There have been some changes in terms of how the dollars can be utilized,
Right.
some changes related to that, some changes that are affecting us and some that aren't, given the city's size and the amount of money that was awarded. The reporting requirements, I don't think have changed that significantly, but we are in the process, as Councilor Arroyo reported earlier, of soliciting a vendor to support the city in meeting all of the regulations as well as our subrecipients.
Okay. And my question being that I know, and council knows, I've been here many times about the ARPA money, and one of the things that we have been constantly told is we don't know what the reporting regulations are going to be and how we can make organizations follow them. But now that we're spending the money, the city must have some kind of idea how they're going to hold HDC accountable for reporting. Is that information available to organizations that are seeking ARPA money so we can then look it over and see?
Councilor Arroyo, do you want to just share again the report that you gave earlier?
I heard your report when you said that you hired a solicitor and are going to do it. But at that point, for me, we have not yet spent the monies. They were allocated, but the city was not spending them because there was not clarity on how the reporting regulations would be. So we were holding off, and I mean, South End's been told this by council and the mayor. We're holding off because we don't know that yet. We're going to hire a consultant to do that. But now we have actually spent some money. How much was that money that they spent?
For the
900
purchase price, I
for the
believe
lot,
it-
yeah.
Yeah, it was $900,000 for that.
Just 900,000?
I think it was actually
I thought they
Just shy
more.
of $1 million.
just shy of $1 million. And I can get you all of those details.
Okay.
And also, I can, Ms. Byrd, I think I have expressed this to you before, and I'll say it again.
You do, and I believe you, but like I
Which
said.
is just to say that we introduced an interim housing strategy in October, and I was very bullish about trying to effectuate that interim housing strategy. I've also told you that I got my wings clipped I'm mixing metaphors, but you get the drift in terms of needing to slow down so that we could make sure that we are meeting all of those requirements. And HDC is not immune or outside of meeting all those requirements.
Right. And I do understand that. Like I said, my whole thought was you wasn't spending money. Now we're spending, and the regulations are not set yet for anybody else, only for HDC.
No, that's not true. We did spend this money before I had clarity about what all of the regulations were. This is why we had to slow down. We
Right.
have made exactly one grant to a subrecipient, which is HDC, to advance affordable housing in the city of Lancaster. If they do not meet the reporting requirements, then we are on the hook. This is why it's so important that every subrecipient goes through this process, and which is why I own the mistake that I made in terms of pushing this. But I will also say that we are now going to have 60-some units on that site, and I believe that is an important outcome.
Yes. I think in 5 years, right?
It will take
Right,
them to move through 3 phases.
Okay.
So we can keep talking about this, and
No,
I'm going to say the same thing.
You're going to keep saying the same thing.
Ms. Byrd,
it's
Mayor,
okay.
hold on. Thank you very much. Please, please finish your comment, Ms. Byrd.
Okay, thank you. And I wanted to say to Amanda, one of the things you said is hold you accountable. And we could do that when you have you allocated money, we were okay, because you had not spent it. But when you tell organizations you don't know how to regulate and you go ahead and you vote to approve to actually spend the money, you're not being transparent and you're not being held accountable. Just want to state that.
And
Thank you, Ms. Byrd.
if I may add, Council President, just
course.
a quick comment regarding the report as well. So the RFP that has been issued, and Director Delfs, correct me if I'm wrong, has been issued for the consultants out with the ARPA. We are drafting a second RFP that would assist anyone that receives these housing grants to manage that grant process. Is that correct, Director Delfs?
Good evening, Council. You are correct. The first RFP was issued to support city staff with what we call compliance services. So essentially, the legal and the financial aspects of meeting the grant requirements. The second RFP that we talked about creating and releasing in the first quarter of this year is specifically for affordable housing proposals. Once we receive those affordable housing proposals, the consultant that we've hired will help us manage the program. We also have a position in the 2022 budget, an ARPA grant manager. So we need to ramp up and build up our staff capacity to make sure that we can handle any requests that we receive from community partners.
Great. Thank you for that clarification. That's all, Council President.
Thank you, Councilor Arroyo. Anyone else? Mr. Dastra?
How'd you know it was me? No. Tony Dastra, 700 block of New Holland Avenue. So I wasn't going to make a comment, but maybe it's the place to make a comment, because I do want to say, first and foremost, congratulations to Chief Little on your new ventures coming forward. And the reason I thank Chief Little, or congratulate him rather, is because I was at a Manheim Township Zoning Hearing Board meeting recently because of a Chick-fil-A that was going to propose a triple drive-through, which is ridiculous to me. Like the idea that our society can continue to handle the burden of automobiles in this way is insane. So I wanted to congratulate Chief Little and say, not so much for the council and the mayor here tonight, but for all the members of the public here as well, that, you know, as we continue to progress as a city, we've seen hostility in terms of like mailing campaigns that say we need to avoid becoming Lancaster City North. And I try not to hold that against Manheim Township specifically, because it's not their fault that there was this mailing. This was something that happened for political reasons. But the reality for me is, geographically, Lancaster City and Manheim Township are slowly becoming more one and the same, more contiguous. And so, again, not so much for everyone on the dais, but for the members of the public here tonight, we have to definitely push forward a conversation of working with Manheim Township in any way possible, especially to reduce the demands of automobiles, demand on the road, because that might slow Chief Little down on the way to a serious stop. And as a Uber driver, it's becoming increasingly clear to me that people from outside of Lancaster City are perceiving Lancaster City as a whole to be downtown Lancaster. And maybe that's not a bad thing, and we should welcome that because it might be the step forward into progressing everyone around Lancaster City forward to a greater Lancaster City. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Dastra. Are there any other public comments? Ms. Grievous?
Good evening again. My question, I guess, is what are the policy and procedures on condemnation? Can the city officials or housing inspectors or supervisors just make it up as they go? That's mainly my concern. I had specific questions or what the codes are with what's grandfathered in, what's normal, what's not normal, and it's been unresponsive. I have not been able to get any kind of response to any of my questions.
Ms. Grievous, if you would put those in an email to bharris@cityoflancasterpa.com. Mr. Harris will forward the email to me, and I will read it directly so that I can evaluate your questions. I can't tell you off the top of my head what the policy for condemnation procedures are in this meeting, and I don't think we have any staff here who do that actively, and so would be able to tell you off top. But if you send an email to my clerk, I'll look into it.
Actually, I did speak to Mr. Harris over the phone, and he was not permitted to answer any of my questions, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was referred to city's council and to my council, but nothing came out of it.
Well, I don't have a detailed list of questions from you, but I was made aware that you would be commenting this evening. What should my understanding be here, Mr. Harris?
Excuse me, Mr. President. Ms. Grievous had contacted me and asked me questions regarding the process for condemnation and the regulations thereof. When I sought that information, I was informed by the administration that Ms. Grievous, that those questions and responses from Ms. Grievous were being handled by counsel.
Oh, by legal counsel.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, I misunderstood that. Mr. Handwerger not being, sorry, I don't know why I checked like he was going to be hiding back behind Millsy somewhere. Sorry. Mr. Handwerger not being present this evening, I can't speak to how he might respond to those questions, but I'm sure that as soon as, I don't know what the timeline is, but I'm sure that as soon as he is finished with the answers to those questions, he will address them forward. And Mayor, if you would just to close the loop, have Mr. Handwerger let me know. I don't need to be a part of the communication, but if you would just have him let me know when he has so communicated, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Because I've tried that, and like I mentioned, nothing came out of it, and I just don't want to keep going around in circles or.
Well, let's see if I have a little better luck.
I would appreciate it. And my last question is, as far as 903 Manor Street, which is the property next door to mine, who purchased that from the city? I believe the city had taken that property, one of the city contractors. Can I find out what the amount was and who purchased that property?
You actually, not knowing that one off the top of my head, this is a good time to do a free ad for the city's building blocks website, which I'm happy to email you the address to. You can actually look up that information as well as a host of other relevant information on the history of the property, and it will link you to the county tax parcel search page directly, which will allow you to see the history of sales related to the property.
Yes, it states only to the current owner who purchased it for hundreds of thousands of dollars versus the $20,000 that the city had purchased it for. So that's mainly, it gives you limited information versus what I'm really asking. And what relationship is the contractor for that property related to how they're related to this. Is there a connection there? Because my understanding is it's a retired city official.
Yeah, that's not being familiar with the property. It's not one that I
Okay.
could, or any
But
member
could
of
I
council could offer off
find,
the top of their head.
that's one of the information, or that's one of the things that I would like to be able to get information on.
Okay, well then, if that is one of the questions you have already sent and it's being answered by council, I would say we are going to go in that direction. Otherwise, you can forward that to the clerk, and I will, the clerk, Mr. Harris, and I'll take a look on the building blocks and tax parcel page and see if I can't find anything different, Ms. Beard.
I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. In that case, we move then to the report of the mayor. Mayor Sirachi.
Thank you, Council President. I have 3 items for you tonight. First, I am pleased to announce the appointment of Battalion Chief Todd Hutchinson as interim Chief of Fire for the City of Lancaster. Chief Hutchinson brings 25 years of experience to the job, 17 with the City of Lancaster, and during this time, his roles have included being a company officer, chief fire officer, incident commander, and hazardous materials team leader. And prior to this appointment, he was responsible for the day-to-day operations of a platoon as the shift commander. And so will you join me in welcoming Chief Hutchinson as interim? Speaking personally, I will just say that interim, permanent, whoever the next chief is, long-term, they will have big shoes to fill. It has been my honor and pleasure to work alongside Chief Little, and I count it as a season in the fire department, which I've now learned is celebrating its 140th year this year, of tremendous investment with the new fire stations and new apparatus, investment in terms of the training and education and professionalism of the Bureau to have us stand out, not just regionally, but nationally in the number of officers that have certain certifications. I am just honored to have worked with you in your role here at the City of Lancaster, and I bid you well in your time with Manheim Township, knowing that we will continue to partner to serve the residents of Lancaster County, and I wish you well. Thank you. Any council comments? This being Chief Little's last week, Chief Hutchinson will step into the role on Friday, and wanted to give council opportunity to say their thanks and farewell to Chief Little before I continue with my report.
Council President?
Please.
Mayor? Thank you so much for the opportunity. Chief Little, it has been an absolute pleasure working with you. I was really proud to serve on the search committee when you became part of our team here in the City of Lancaster, and I'll tell that to anybody who asks, because I'm certainly very proud of the work that you've done in your time here, and I'm very sorry to see you move on. Manheim Township is very lucky to have you. You have made a tremendous impact in the team on the Fire Bureau, an impact on the leadership team here in the City of Lancaster, and an impact to the residents. And it has, your leadership and your guidance has made a huge difference in that department, and the residents, we're all better for it. Thank you so much.
Councilor Arroyo.
And thank you, Council President. First, congratulations to Chief Hutchinson for the interim chief position. Looking forward to working with you during this this period. And Chief Little, congratulations. I'm a little disappointed because you are moving on, but very happy for you and your family for the great opportunity that not only you have, but also the residents of Manheim Township to receive such a talented and skilled chief for their fire department. Really appreciate the service that you not only have given to the City of Lancaster, but also for helping a young counselor get started and showing me the ropes as how the fire department serves our city. So just wanted to thank you. And as Mr. Dastra mentioned, there's a lot of collaboration opportunities that the city and Manheim Township can have in the future, and looking forward to having partners in the township next door. So thank you.
We'll still do the stair
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm practicing right now, so.
Chief Little, I just want to both congratulate you for your new position, but also thank you. As Public Safety Chair for the past 2 years, I've really appreciated how you've come alongside me to teach me about the work that you're doing and that your department's doing, and being patient. I know that sometimes I've definitely have come to you with lots of questions and inquiry about what is the direction that we're moving forward as a department. And you've never been one to really pause to question me from the perspective of wanting to challenge, but just to inquire more. And I see you doing that both with the men and women of your department. And I think it's such an incredible attribute that Manhattan Township is going to have someone who's willing to listen and really advocate for what's the best thing for the men and women that you have on your department. So thank you so much.
First, congratulations to Chief Hutchinson. And Chief Little, I didn't have the opportunity to work with you, but I have come to different meetings here before I was elected as a city council member. And I heard about your leadership, and I really appreciate your service. Thank you.
Councilor Diaz, did I hear you beginning to speak?
Yeah, it's hard to, even though I'm watching it, it's kind of delayed, so it's hard to tell. Yes, I would like to thank Chief Little for serving. It's been a delight, and I know that he did a lot in our community, which also a lot of, especially the Southeast, was very happy to see him come out and into different events and block parties. And I also want to congratulate Chief Todd Hutchison. It'll be great to meet him in person and to work together, since I will be chairing now the Safety Committee. Thank you. That'll be all, President.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Well, I guess that just leaves me.
Could I finish? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go.
No, it's okay.
No. I'm so sorry, Council President.
You would not believe that we do this every 2 weeks.
No. No, you would not. Oh, my goodness.
I'll keep it short. I think we can just look at the fire stations on East and West King to see how far we've come as a community and in terms of public safety while Chief Little has been our fire chief. So to you, I'll just say thank you, sir. Todd, welcome aboard. Mayor.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Thank you, Council President. I was so eager to tell you the good news that we received on Friday, which from Governor Wolf, which is that the city of Lancaster has received $1,075,000 through the Pennsylvania Home Investment Partnerships Program to support first-time home buyers in partnership with SACA. This funding is a welcome complement to the historic American Rescue Plan funds committed to affordable housing, as well as other home funds the city has received. So I look forward to putting these dollars to work for our residents, and I'm also proud that this was the highest allocation to any community statewide. So congratulations to Lancaster. Third, I'd like to share with you information about an important new statewide program that I hope residents and water customers outside the city will take advantage of. Applications are now being accepted for the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program, which has a really ridiculous acronym that I'm not even going to try to say. This is a temporary emergency program to help low-income families pay overdue water bills. This assistance is a grant and does not need to be repaid. And I'm looking to council for your help in spreading the word about this program to our residents. Assistance may be available if you are in a critical situation and need relief. You can receive one crisis grant for your drinking water service and one crisis grant for your wastewater service, up to $2,500 each. Crisis situations that can make you eligible include past due water bills, termination of utility service, or danger of having utility services terminated, i.e. you received a notice that service will be shut off in the next 60 days. You can go to dhs.pa.gov/waterhelp, or you can apply online, and we'll be pushing out this information through social media. Applications are also available at the Lancaster County Assistance Office at 832 Manor Street. So this water assistance program, along with the emergency rental and utility assistance program at lancasterhelp.rent, are vital tools in helping us combat the many social and economic crises that COVID has created and continues to create. So please take advantage of them if you qualify, and please help us spread the word related to these programs. The city of Lancaster, as you know, has suspended water terminations since the beginning of the pandemic. We will not be able to continue to do that through 22, and we will be really working carefully with our customers who are facing water terminations to connect them to these resources. And that is why this is so imperative that we all do whatever we can to let our residents know that these resources exist. We do have outstanding debt that exceeds $1 million, Patrick, just on our water alone, and we need to work to collect that, and hopefully these crisis grants can help us. And so before I conclude my report, I just want to say that we are in some of the most the direst moment of COVID and this pandemic, and I urge us all to just take care of one another. Please get vaccinated to protect yourself. Get boosted. This is the best tool that we have to prevent serious illness and death from the virus. It is very disconcerting to see the number of deaths being reported by LGH and the number of hospitalizations that are occurring. Obviously, we know that Omicron can be less significant, but the volume of cases is overwhelming our healthcare system, not just here in Lancaster County, but across the country. So we will continue to mask up when we are indoors. I thank council for their leadership and in helping to set the stage, if you will, for how serious we're taking this as a city and continuing to do our part to keep one another safe. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. I am going to move my report, which hopefully will be brief, down a section and open the floor for council comments. I will offer the first council comment to someone who has been my friend and partner for more than 2 years now, a colleague who has been important to some of the most significant things that we've done here on council. Councilor Garcia Molina, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. As some of you may know, today is my last day as a city councilman. As many more of you will know, I am not one to shy to speak my mind, but today I do find myself at a loss of words. So be patient with me as I try to get through something that I jotted down to really express my gratitude and explain to you all the reasons for why I've chosen to step down. Being a council member has been one of the greatest privileges that has been bestowed upon me. Not because I get to sit here every day and look at familiar faces and listen to my friends and my neighbors express their support of me and my ability to be a leader, but because the reason that I'm here is a collective effort of so many. And so I'm just extremely appreciative of that. When I started this journey, I really wanted to lead with Lancastrian values, to be compassionate, to be authentic, and to fight for equity. And the importance of these values grew in my mind as I entered into a pandemic. And as I was serving my term, I think this pandemic has not only challenged us, but has called us all to come together if we want to persevere. I witnessed how the solutions to all of our problems are found right here in this room from people like Ms. Bird, who come to us expressing what she knows to be true in her community that we must listen to if we really want to move forward as a collective. It would have been a pleasure to continue serving as a city councilor for the city that raised me. But like many, I've experienced loss and hardships in this pandemic that has made me think about how I show up for myself and for other people. The past 2 years in seclusions have made me realize that I can only be a dimmed version of myself unless I choose to prioritize my well-being as much as I encourage others to do so. And so I am taking a step back to prioritize my mental health. Right now, I am a National Urban Fellow at Georgetown University. My work weeks are about 60 hours on average, and so maintaining a work-life balance is just not sustainable. I never wished to become someone who was a public servant that was absent from their community, as we so often see, and those that we try to hold accountable for those actions. And so I don't want to perpetuate the idea that once we're voted in as public servants, we know what's truly best for our community, and we don't make time to advocate for them or to listen to them. So I am stepping down, though, with the utmost confidence and trust in my council colleagues to carry out what we've built together, which is a vision for a city that works for all of us. As a collective, we've established a foundation to reimagine what community policing looks like and what it looks like to really put affordable housing on the forefront. It's going to be easy to find a replacement for me just because there's so many compassionate people in this community that are just waiting to be seen for the leaders that they know they can be, that we see every day. And so after I transition back to being Savi, the resident who comes to so many meetings like Tony does, to really be advocating for the community, I really hope to come alongside you again to carry out the work. This work that we do up here could not be done with the work that you do as residents, and so I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. And that is what I have at the moment, but like I said, I will be around. I just need to transition into doing the work a little bit differently. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Garcia Molina. Other council comments?
If I may, Council President?
Please.
Councilor Garcia Molina, yeah, I'm also very saddened and also happy that you are taking yourself as a priority to make sure that you are doing what's right for you. But also know that the city hasn't lost a fighter or an advocate, that you will continue to do the good work that's needed. It's been a pleasure to serve with you over the last 2 years. I've literally seen you on the front lines of justice, and I have been more inspired by you than most people in my life. So just thank you for your service, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
I will, I need to be brief because I'm a little bit emotional about this, but I will echo Councilor Arroyo's comments. It's really just been such an amazing time serving with you, running with you, being on the street with you. You are an inspiration, and we will be well served to take what you have brought to council and keep it here with us as we sit here each week. Thank you so much.
Please.
So that's really unfortunate because I just came and you leave. Yeah, so I didn't have the opportunity to work that long with you, but I was ready to learn a lot from you. But unfortunately, you decided to leave. But it's for good reason. So I wish you good luck, and I wish you to keep being in touch with you so I can work with you in some other way and keep learning from you. Thank you for your service.
If I may, President,
Yes, Councilor Diaz.
I just want to say that it's good that you have taken the time to reflect and take care of your health. Mental health is a disease, and sometimes you do need to take the time to heal. And I wish you the best, and I'm always available if you need to talk to someone. I know that sometimes it can be very hard when we're dealing with any type of mental health issues. But take care of yourself, and I know you've done so much for the community and for diversity and inclusion, which is what I'll continue doing, and take care of yourself.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Bear with me just one moment. That brings us then to the report of the President of Council. I usually don't give one of these, but I think there are two things that I need to accomplish tonight. First, Councilor Garcia Molina, you know how they always say, well, I can't add anything on to what's already been said. That's simply not true here. You've been a fierce advocate for affordable housing in this community, for the LGBTQ community, for language access in city council and throughout city government. I've gotten to watch you lead, as Councilor Bakay mentioned, from this dais and in the streets, and on a very personal level. If I had to ask, we all knowing that 2020 was a challenging year, if I had to answer the question, who was there with you, who went through that with you, it was absolutely you. And I think many residents could say that they could not turn their head without seeing you showing up for the community when white supremacists threatened us both in our home. That did not stop or slow you down in any way. And on the subject of our home, in the immediate wake of my mother's death, I had to find a new place to live, and you were the first person to reach out to me and help me find a place that was my cradle and crib for about 2 years. And so I will always be grateful to have seen you lead, to have seen you grow. I think I wrote this in an email somewhere, but we are less for your leaving and more for what you have done in your time with us. Thank you. Okay. So it has been posted on the city website, and it will go out to the media this evening / tomorrow. But the public should be aware that in this instance, third-class city law gives us the following advice. You have 30 days to fill the vacancy. And that is all the guidance that the law gives. It's not terribly helpful in that regard. Wanting to maximize public engagement and accountability, make sure I'm getting the microphone here. Wanting to maximize those things, we will be accepting resumes or accepting applications which ought be composed of a resume and a letter of interest, and to be delivered either by physical copy or by electronic mail to bharris@cityoflancasterpa.com. Otherwise, you can bring them to City Hall, care of Bernard Harris, who is the city clerk. We will be accepting them until 5 p.m. on January 24th. Any application which does not include both a resume and a letter of interest, or that comes after 5 p.m. on January 24th, will not be considered. I just want to be clear about that right now as we give the time period. The evening of the 27th, we will be holding a special meeting of council at 6 p.m. Yep. Okay, we're going to go with 6 p.m. At 6 p.m. to conduct interviews. On February 8th, there will be an agenda item about the appointment of a new counselor, though there will be no name attached to that agenda item. At that meeting, a counselor may make a motion to nominate a person who fits all of the relevant, the relevant eligibilities to council. That motion requires a second and then must receive 4 votes of the remaining 6 council members to pass. That person will then have to, have to have the oath of office administered to take their seat. Other than what the law requires, that they be 18 years of age and that they be a registered voter in the city of Lancaster, having lived in the city for more than a year, or for a year or more at the time of their appointment. There is one additional requirement that we will set out, which is very simple. Someone who wishes to be appointed must agree to an orientation session with Mr. Harris. Trust me, it helps. It is hard to manage this all up here at the same time. So that is where we are, and I'm happy to answer a few brief questions on the matter, but I do want to encourage all of you to encourage persons you believe to be qualified and dedicated to the city of Lancaster to apply. We will not, we will not be restricting the position by party, or as with the county commissioners, we will set no requirement that that person not then choose to run for council. We want somebody who is dedicated to the work of the city of Lancaster and thereby would not be surprised if that person, after serving, chose to run again. If appointed, the appointee will serve until the first meeting of January 2024, filling the rest of Councilor Garcia Molina's unexpired term, at which point that seat will be filled either by the appointee or another individual who has secured that seat through a public election. I want to be clear that neither local law nor the Board of Elections allows for a special election in this case. That's a question I hear a lot. Why not hold a special election? We can't. There's not time. We have 30 days. So more information will be coming out about that, and we'll be spreading it as far and wide as we can. Please, again, encourage folks to either deliver their applications to City Hall by mail, care of Bernard Harris, City Clerk, or to send both documents to bharris@cityoflancasterpa.com. Also, this is more time intensive than it looks if you're just like watching us up here at the meeting. So please know that it does take a significant part of your life. The compensation as it stands by statute is $8,000 a year, though the appointee, like any other employee of the city of Lancaster, and you would be an employee of the city of Lancaster, has access to the benefits package of City of Lancaster employees if they so choose to sign up. Does that seem like most of it, y'all? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to miss you, man. And with that, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.